Mabuhay, my name is Annabelle Tagbuli from BSTM2A and I am your presenter for today's discussion, and my group mates are Leila Joy de Vera and Julianne Sumawang. And our topic is growth strategy for startup, and the table of contents are learning objectives, overview, startups, growth models, growth problems, the entrepreneurial strategy compass, the four decisions, the intellectual property strategy, and the disruption strategy, the value chain strategy, and the last is chapter summary. So let's move to learning objectives. So the learning objectives are define what constitute a growth firm, and describe the problems of growth and growth strategies, and the last describe growth mistakes and solutions. Okay, let's start with overview. So in this chapter, we look at some of tactics that can help startup companies grow. The second half of the chapter outlines the most common mistakes by the startup throughout their growth period. Although we focus on businesses that sell things, the tactics of pitfalls discussed are also applicable to service businesses. Throughout the presentation, the presenter will discuss different tactics that can be helpful for startup companies' growth. The presenter will also tackle about the common mistakes that the presenter will also the presenter will also tackle about the common mistake that they made. It is also important to discuss this to avoid pitfalls, especially they are startup companies. So, ang pitfalls po ay bankruptcy. So, next is startups. It refers to a business that is just getting started. One or more entrepreneurs form a start to produce a product or services for which they feel there is a market. This business typically start with high costs and low revenue, which is why they seek funding from a number of sources, including venture capitalists. So next is the growth models. Growth through buying out other companies, growth through cooperation, stopping growth by selling the firm, and last, growth through innovation. First is the growth through buying out other companies. So, this strategy will help for startup competent employees. For example, bumili ka ng isang stock sa isang kumpanya, habang nag-earn ng kumpanyang yon, tumataas din ang stocks mo. Pwede ring lumaki pang shares mo at tumaas din ang position mo sa kumpanya. Then, makakatulong rin yon sa sarili mong business dahil pwede kang makipag-collab sa business na yon. And the second is growth through cooperation. This strategy, one way fast growing for startup is cooperation with other business. Kailangan rin makipag-collab ka sa isang kumpanya, lalo na kung startup business owner ka. Need na cooperation and collaboration para mas mapaunlad or mapabilis ang pag-unlad ng isang kumpanya. Next is stopping growth by selling the firm. Most of startup owners, they tend to produce more than one service or product, and when the time comes that they are all earning, they often sell the other firms and use the money to expand the remaining firms. And the last is growth through innovation. Nowadays that we are in advanced technology, startups see this as an opportunity for their firm to grow rapidly. They can use the technology, equipment, and tools to introduce product and services. Para mas mapabilis na makilala sa market ang product and services na ino-offer nila, pero since mabilis din magbago ngayon ang technology, dapat maging careful din ang mga startup owners sa mga changes at dapat maging ready sila sa mga complementary resources na magagamit nila. And that's all. Thank you. So next is the growth models. Growth through buying out other companies, growth through cooperation, stopping growth by selling the firm, and last, growth through innovation. First is the grow through buying out other companies. So, this strategy will help for startup competent employees. For example, bumili ka ng isang stock sa isang kumpanya, habang nag-earn ng kumpanyang yon, tumataas din ang stocks mo. Pwede ring lumaki pang shares mo at tumaas din ang position mo sa kumpanya. Then, makakatulong rin yon sa sarili mong business dahil pwede kang makipag-collab sa business na yon. And the second is growth through cooperation. This strategy, one way fast growing for startup is cooperation with other business. Kailangan rin makipag-collab ka sa isang kumpanya, lalo na kung startup business owner ka. Need na cooperation and collaboration para mas mapaunlad or mapabilis ang pag-unlad ng isang kumpanya.
Hello everyone, I'm Laila Joy T. De Vera, and I will be the one who discuss growth problems. So number 1 is management mistake. Is a classic first mistake is in the choice of a product or service or even worse, a market with no potential for growth. Like for example is nag-start ka ng business na hindi naman uso or nakabagay sa season, I think hindi ito papatok or sisikat sa mga customers. So, number 2 is incompatibility of growth strategies and organizational structures. The growth of startup must be planned and supported by one or more of the above mentioned strategies. It is a significant growth mistake to do without planning and strategic development. However, even when the mistake are avoided and growth strategies exist, managers tend to overlook the fact that there is a connection between the chosen strategy and the particular organization structure of the startup. The oversight is a serious impediment to growth. So, we need to have an organized plan. Kailangan natin na masiguro na magiging successful o sikat or papatok ito sa mga target customers mo para hindi masayang yung perang ininvest mo sa business na gusto mong i-build. Next is inadequate or incorrect marketing, cooperation, finance, or HR strategies. So, growth is also at risk if startups fail to develop strategic planning, marketing, financing, risk management, HR management, organization, or policies for internationalization. Growth mistake made regard to do marketing, financing, and HR management are particularly serious. So, next is inadequate or incorrect internal accounting. So, I think isa sa mga problems is maling pag-compute ng mga budget na kakailanganin because like for example, once you make mistake in calculating the budget, pwedeng malugi or makulangan sa budget na kakailanganin mo para sa business na gusto mong ipatayo or i-build. Next is dependence on third party. Many startup survival and growth strategies lead almost inevitably to the dependence of new firms or third party. This causes no problem as long as the interest of all people and firms involved are relatively equal and or compatible. However, dependence is a disadvantage if there are diverging interests or if the partners behave opportunistically Next is a cultural integration problems when buying companies. Growth is a result of acquiring companies is a supply chain or diversifying into other sectors not only creates the potential for mistakes due to inadequate knowledge of the industry but by insufficient acculturation of the company acquired. So, next is the entrepreneurial strategy compass. At the heart of our approach is the recognition that a go-to-market strategy for any innovation involves making choices about which customer to target, what technologies to apply, what organization identify to assume, and how to position the company against which competitors. Next is to complicate matters. The decisions are interdependent. The choice of customers influences the company's organizational identity and its technology options. So next is the four decisions. Number one is customers. So identifying customers and understanding their needs is usually the first step is any go-to-market strategy. Customers. So kailangan mong mapagdesisyonan kung ano ang magiging target customers mo. It's either kids, teenager, or adults. So like for example is nag-build ka ng isang milk tea shop. Papatok ba ito sa mga bata or sa teenagers? Ano? So next is technology. So technology and customers' choices are interrelated. So, I think ito yung kung paano ka makakabenta using technology. For example is online selling. Next is identity, culture, and capabilities. So, choices in this category should both create a narrative about what the company will stand for and communicate to all stakeholders what behavior to expect and what capability it will develop. So, next is competitors. It competition as other retailers and choose to compete aggressively by offering consumers more choices, greater reliability, and lower prices. So, I think kailangan mong i-identify kung ano yung weakness ng competitors mo para yun ang mas i-improve mo sa iyong business.
Hi, I'm Julian Citris Sumawang reporting the intellectual property strategy. The startup focuses on idea generation and development and avoids the cost downstream customer-facing activities. The core idea must be value to the customers of incumbents, therefore development choices concerning it will dictate which incumbents are the most suitable partners for the venture. An intellectual property strategy is simply a plan to acquire intellectual property assets in accordance with the company's business goals. Definition of value is evaluated in the light of the business objectives. Startup focuses on how to develop or improve their business or company while avoiding cost of down. The next one is the disruption strategy. It involves a decision to compete directly with incumbents, emphasizing commercialization of the idea and the rapid growth of market share rather than control of the idea's development. Disruption entrepreneurs aim to redefine established value chains and the companies that dominate those chains. But the very nature of disruption permits others to follow. Thus, the heart of this strategy is the ability to get ahead and stay ahead. When it comes to the business strategy, disruption refers to a process in which market entrants arrive armed with unconventional business models and what appear to be poor performing products at first actually challenge and eventually replace industry incumbents over. The last one, the value chain strategy. The identity of such corporations arises from competence rather than aggressive competition. Value chain entrepreneurs are driven by the customers and technology of other companies. They focus on developing scarce talent and unique capabilities to become preferred partners. Value chain strategy is a step-by-step business model for taking an idea and turning into a product or service. Value chain aids in increasing a company's efficiency, allowing it to provide the most value and the lowest possible cost. For example, yung McDonald's mission is to provide customers with the low-cost food items. Analysis assists McDonald's in identifying areas for improvement as well as activities that add value to their products and services. The summary of our report. Company growth must be planned by both old and young firms. It requires the choice of one or more of the above-mentioned strategies to promote growth. Product and process innovations, niches, and networking with other companies are important strategies for starting. Growth along the supply chain is a special case in vertical networking strategies. Buying out entire companies is also suitable as growth strategy, but in presupposes the availability of sufficient capital and the solution of acculturation problems. Growth can be seriously threatened by the management mistake.